Hi, welcome to the Confidence Couch. I'm your host, Julia Dickenson, and in this series I interview amazing women exploring through conversation what it takes to cultivate everyday confidence. So sit back, grab a cuppa, and enjoy connecting with these women the way that I do. Hi, I'm Julia. I'm your host from the Confidence Couch. And today I have got Beck Gad with me, all the way from Bali. And thank you, Beck, for being here with me today. I really wanted Beck to come on to the Confidence Couch and share her story because we connected through the ICC, the Insight Coaching Community, probably how long ago, Beck?
A year.
A year ago.
Over a year ago. Yeah, over a year ago now. Well and truly, actually. I think when was the intake? October, I think I started that program.
Yeah. So that's it. We've known it, and we connected straight away. It was such good fun partnering up with Beck, and we got to know each other. And in having you on the call today, and we've got a little bit of internet challenge, so please forgive us as we muddle our way through. I think it's both of our ends today. It is Christmas Eve, so I think there's probably a lot of traffic online. So basically, share a little bit about you, Beck, just to start us off.
Oh, this is always such an interesting question because, I mean, my name's Beck. I grew up on a beef cattle farm in the country in northeast Victoria. Went to a little school in a little town in the bush and went to university in a slightly bigger town to study accounting, and met my then first love of my life and moved to Western Australia for 12 years. And being so close to Bali, that's where I guess I got addicted to this country, in that we would bounce over the border quite often and come here for holidays. And after spending 12 years over there in a marriage that got really, really dysfunctional because my ex-husband got into FIFO work, so mining work. So that's where he would work away for 4 weeks and then he'd be home for 1 week. So that sort of a structure, unless you've got the foundations down right, it just doesn't work. There's no make or break. It just basically broke us. And then I just decided that I'd had enough of being on that side of the country and moved back over to Albury Wodonga, back over towards northeast Victoria. And that was in, I think, 2018. I moved back over there. Yeah. And at the time, I'd actually started my own bookkeeping and BAS business. So it was pick up the laptop and take it with me, because that era, like the last 10 years, has really seen a massive advancement in cloud-based businesses, more so in the last 2 years following COVID too. So I was just able to pretty much pick up my business and take it with me, which is fantastic. So I hung out there for about 4 years and then decided that I'd had enough of the cold, wet weather and I was moving to Bali, and here I am.
Here you are. And that's the part of the story that, I was with you through that decision-making process, and this is the part of the story that I think is really interesting. So I guess my question and what I'd like to draw out of all of that, Beck, is you've gone through a lot of significant change, like most of us. What gave you the confidence to probably more specifically make this last change? So what sort of, tell me how confidence has impacted whatever you want to share on that.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. And I guess it took a good 2.5 years of personal development to become the person that I needed to be, to have, well, we don't have the confidence first. We do the thing, and confidence comes later, as you would know.
Yeah.
But I guess having done the work to become the person that I needed to be, and that person just needed to know that she was going to be okay, no matter what decision she made. So basically, it was just like, yep, okay, I'm going to sell my life. I'm going to sell my car. I gave up my two beautiful little sausage dogs who are very fat and happy, I hear. And at the end of the day, it was basically having learned of things that had already happened and coming to the knowledge that just because it has happened doesn't mean it's going to happen again. Knowing that I can actually be a different person and behave in a different way and create a different outcome. So it wasn't simply just a whimsical, oh, you know, I've had enough, I'm moving to Bali. It wasn't a snap decision. It actually took, as you know, a good 6 months for me to get over that conditioning that I had, that protective mindset that my ego had thrown in. Oh, you can't do that because it's not the done thing. How are you going to make money? Like, what happens if you fail? What's that going to look like? What are people going to think? So coming to a place where you're actually okay with all of that negative mind chatter, and you can actually say, hey, like, you know, buddy, I've got this. You just go hop in the back seat for a little while and let me be curious. Let me embrace my inner child and get curious about this mad adventure that I'm going to take myself on, and just be open to learning new things and being uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable doesn't kill you. It's what you do outside of that creates a situation or an experience.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing it.
That was a lot. That was a lot.
No. I love it, because the thing that jumped out at me when you were talking, and yes, I did go on that 6-month journey with you. But what I really love about that was the curiosity, is that you did embrace, and it was you were cultivating for 6 months, and you mentioned the mind chatter, which, you know, almost everybody does, is that part that's sitting there telling you, no, don't do this, it's not safe, it's not, you know, it's that part trying to protect us. But it's that childlike curiosity that if you can just let go of that voice for a moment, you know, practice, and it's practice. It is a practice of letting it go, turning the volume down on that voice and going, what's curious about this? Can I show up with curiosity? Can I show up with a childlike play? Where's the joy in this for me? And I love that about what you said, is that, yeah, it's definitely curiosity.
It is. And it's actually interesting. And I have to say, I do sometimes get a little flicker of annoyance, which is my problem and nobody else's. And that just comes down to my conditioning. And that I hear people say, and you may have seen on some of my social media, oh my God, you know, you're living the dream, and it's this and it's that, and it's wonderful. And you know what? Life is easier here. I'm in a tropical climate. Everything is done for me. It's not as expensive to live in as Australia, but it's with you. So regardless of where you are, like, you know, the homework that I'd done in overcoming that mind chatter, it's still with me, and it's a constant learning learning journey. So, you know, what's next? What's this next obstacle? And continuing to embrace that curious mindset. You know, what's the adventure? What's the lesson? What am I going to learn here? Continuing to embrace that childlike nature is just at the core of, you know, developing that confidence muscle, so to speak.
Yeah. 100%. I really love that, because it is, because when you do the grind, and it's almost like that, the metaphor that comes to mind is the duck, you know, like it looks like it's gliding across the water, right? But the feet are going underneath. It makes it look easy. But I know without a shadow of a doubt, this decision wasn't easy for you, but the the joy and the curiosity was what kept helping you drive forward and go and help you to overcome the obstacles. And that's the other thing is, you know, life is just an obstacle course, right? And it's the practice of, you know, overcoming obstacles that help it get easier. And that, as we say, that confidence to give things a go. But you don't have to start with the big, massive, big things. You know, it's those small things. Like for you, share with me, you know, like an area of confidence around becoming a scooter rider extraordinaire.
Okay. So the scooter riding, it was a baptism of fire for me, really. I first, when I first came to Bali, I spent 2 months or 2.5 months in Canggu, which is absolutely crazy, off charts busy now. It is digital nomad central. It's exorbitantly expensive as well. It's really just exploded. The traffic is gnarly there. There is no other way. It's just constant fast pace, constant congestion. There are scooters on footpaths, and it's I don't know if you remember the video game Frogger. If you're a pedestrian, it's like Frogger. You've basically, like, you know, and you better hope that you were born with 9 lives, pretty much. But I was actually, you know, I was like, yeah, okay, in preparing to come to Bali, I'd actually gone and done a 2.5 day I continually kept rolling my ankle. And it was at the point where I was struggling to walk on it. I'm just like, okay, well, if this is going to heal, I'm going to need to get over myself and get on a scooter. So I just prepared. I'm like, okay, well, what do I need to know to feel confident, to feel safe, a little bit safer? So for me, it's always been about understanding a situation. So I went to a local scooter company here and I said, who does lessons? I'd like to, you know, pay for 2 hours so that we can go and hang out in a paddock somewhere and I can learn how to use a scooter because they're very different to a motorbike. And learn about your road rules for what they are here. So it was basically baby steps. I got on the scooter. I was doing like little skitties in a paddock. You know, there were cows standing there watching me. I actually felt very at home. These cows are just sort of hanging out going, oh, yeah, we've got another one. She's having a crack. I digress. So, and then it was just pick a time of day that's a little bit quiet and just ease my way into it. And then it's kind of a little bit second nature now. As of tomorrow, I've been in Bali for 5 months. And I ride like a bit of a local now. It's an opportunity system with a dash of manners. So if you see an opening, you politely take that opportunity to turn right or to round up another lot of scooter riders or a car. I've had a few near misses, but my training from George back in Australia, like my emergency brakes, checking my mirrors all the time, being aware of what's going on around me, that's all helped immeasurably. So knowing who I needed to be or what I needed to know in order to feel safe and confident enough to actually just take that first step. That's basically my recipe for getting over myself and getting over my negative Nelly and getting shit done pretty much.
Yeah. I love that because you've just illustrated that you didn't just go. So when we hear about accidents and things, so let's just take this scenario, for example. So we might be on the other end of news.com and we've heard that, you know, an Australian's been killed in a scooter accident over in Bali when they're on a one week holiday or something like that. And you go, oh my God, I'm never going to ride a scooter in Bali because it's too dangerous, right? So there's that scenario where somebody goes across, hops on a scooter, doesn't know the lay of the land, doesn't know the rules, hasn't spent the time cultivating that knowledge and that taking those baby steps to be able to ride with confidence in that same environment. And that's a really strong illustration of how it's just by taking the first step and you saying and asking yourself, okay, what's next? What's next? What do I now need to know? I'm curious. So I love that. That's really good, because now you can ride in a downpour, right?
If I choose to.
If you choose to, yes. Another important thing. If you choose to.
If I choose to. And it's also, Julia, that mindset of like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Yeah.
Riding in a downpour, I'm going to get wet. That's it.
Yeah.
Pretty much, unless somebody else is doing something silly on the road and I'm putting danger as a result of I have the common sense and the knowledge and the know-how to slow my bike down, pull off onto the side of the road if I can't see or if I'm not confident in being able to control the vessel properly. I don't let my ego get cocky. Oh, I can do this. Yeah. Like, I'm not a dickhead.
Yeah.
Excuse French.
Yeah.
Like, you play it safe. I'm young. I've got another half of my life to live. Like, and I guess it's sort of, a lot of this is like, it comes to me now, like you sort of, rephrased what I'm saying is that it's just like, what do I want to experience here? What do I want to create? Who do I need to be? And what does she do?
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like, I want to be able to navigate Bali, go around on the island on my scooter, feel safe and enjoy myself. So what do I need to know? I need to be confident that I can handle the bike. So I've gone and got training on doing that. I need to be confident that I'm not going to get abused by Balinese road rage because I've done something wrong. So I've got my head around their sort of their road system. They do have traffic lights here. It's kind of a little bit, still a bit of a free for all. But it's just like, what do I want to create and who do I need to be to do that? What steps does she have to take and what knowledge do I need to take with me? So it's all about like, do I want to have, a panicky experience every time I get on the bike? No, I don't. I want to enjoy it. And I do. I hop on my scooter and I, scoot down the road. I have no idea how fast I'm going because the speedo's broken. But I'm sure no one's surprised to hear that. And I love it. I have got the wind in my hair. I've got the best quality helmet that you can get here. And it's so joyful because I feel safe because I've done what I needed to do to make sure that, I had my confidence muscle built up around that scooter. I still get in some gnarly situations, but that's part of the learning curve.
Yeah, but you're prepared. And I love that. It's a really great story, and the big part of the story was the move and having the confidence and cultivating that over the 6 months to get there. But that you still, just because you have confidence in that area, it's an ongoing thing, isn't it? It's an ongoing exercise, it's an ongoing practice. But each time you give yourself that evidence that, well, I did it last time and I was able to do that. So you've got that underlying confidence that, as you say, the question you now ask yourself is, well, what's the worst that can happen? Like, that's the conversation rather than don't do it. You're only going to get hurt, or, what do people think of you? That, ignore that voice. Ask yourself, what can I do? And on that, Beck, out of everything that you've tried and challenged yourself, you've got a bit of a trick bag of tools that work for you. What's your number one tool for cultivating that confidence or taking a step?
I've got a pretty big toolbox. I guess it depends on, excuse me, how the challenge is presenting itself. Am I activated is the first thing. So if it's Anything that challenges my sense of safety to the degree where my fight or flight response is activated, that's a nervous system response, I'll engage in tapping or breathing techniques to actually physically calm down my nervous system, because then that actually alters the chemical brainwave state and I can stop and think clearly and logically about what I need to do.
Yeah.
If it's mind chatter, it's often sitting in my shit for a little while. So that may, in most cases, it's in meditation. I'll sit quietly and I'll sit in the emotion and I'll just say, well, look, why am I feeling this way about this potential thing, which I literally have never experienced before at this level of person that I am now.
Yeah.
So again, it comes down to understanding why my safety, why that innate safety switch is being challenged. What is it about this situation that's making me feel unsafe? And what do I need to do to actually flip that switch, to have a reset, to disengage from, that ego of my past 40 years experience is trying to tell me why this is unsafe, and ignoring all of that evidence because that's already happened. This is actually something new. Everything is new. Like, when I hop on my scooter this afternoon, I could get another waterfall, or it could actually there's not going to be any sun today. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm okay with that because I've been slowly through this journey over this last year. I've been redeveloping that mindset. I've been, forming those neural pathways for those people who are really into that biomechanical state about it's okay to challenge and it's good to challenge. And I'm more curious about my experiences now. So I guess those are probably the two main ones. Like, how badly is the challenge presenting itself? Is it just the mind being a pain in the ass, or is it literally the body? Is my heart rate elevated? Am I feeling a bit panicky? Then I'll actually slow down and, I'll do some tapping or meditation or something to actually calm that physical nervous system along with the meditation, and basically just knowing that I'm going to be okay. Yeah. I hope that answers that.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. You gave us two.
Bonus.
Two. I only asked for one and you gave me two. Bonus. Yeah, definitely breath work and anything that calms that the physical nervous system down. Because as you said, it's really when you get into that state of feeling nervous and overwhelmed that you can't think rationally, you can't think properly, you can't get the best out of yourself. So breath work, and then as you say, that mind chatter, what's it there for? What's it dragging up from the past that that either needs to be listened to or ignored, But I think what you said there too earlier was about that personal development, and it's easier to do this when you know yourself. And when you've got a good relationship with yourself, ultimately. And I mean, probably we don't have enough hours to delve deeply into that, but people are on different parts of that journey, obviously. We're all, it's a spectrum. And it's not even a spectrum. In my mind, it's a continuum. It's, you get on it and then you just keep going and going and you keep learning and you keep growing. I hope we haven't. I think I want still got there for a sec. Still got me.
Still got you.
Apologies for any jumps in this. So that continuum of growth and getting to know yourself. At what I'm going to ask you for another tool now, or another. Who's been the strongest influence, I guess, or a book? Maybe this is a good chance to ask you about. If you were to share a book with somebody who lacks a lot of confidence and they're just beginning to have that little flame inside light up going, there is more to life. I know there's a richer experience, but I'm really not quite sure how people do that. Is there a book that you think has been one of the pivotal books that you've read that you think it's good bang for the buck?
Yeah, look, there are two books that I will be forever grateful to the authors because they exist.
Yeah.
The first one's Daring Greatly, basically. The second one I'll share with you because I just wanted to circle back to something you said before, about the mind chatter that we experience and knowing yourself and coming to understand yourself. Our minds, our ego talks to us, and a lot of people choose to switch it off or to ignore it or to buffer. And when I say buffer, we distract ourselves with other activities so that we don't experience whatever it is that mind chatter is trying to drag up. Let's say I was having a moment and I was feeling guilt, which I have done.
Yeah.
Guilt and, immense sadness about, giving my 2 dogs up for adoption. There are 2 ways I could have done this. Old Beck would never have given the dogs up, for starters, but
yeah. Keep going. Hopefully it'll record well.
Drunk the wine, she would have been. Yeah, I'm fingers crossed. We'll keep at it. So it's from the problem end. Or the Beck who is now would actually sit with that and say, okay, what would you like me to do to understand a little bit more why this is reappearing now? The continuum you refer to, I see this as a spiral. Higher we approach these life situations from. And by continuing to deal with them from a higher level, they never actually go away, but we're just better equipped and we have a better understanding of how we operate. So the Beck now, I'm human, what we do. But I would much rather go and say, okay, what do I need to process right now? And without giving too much to the emotion, I'm like, okay, I see you, I acknowledge you, thank you, you can go now, instead of trying to push it back down. So understanding, if you like, what your triggers are, what are those events, what are those memories, all those traumas that are likely going to have you engaging in a way that is opposite to what you want to be doing, to what you want to be achieving. So that continuum is that spiral. So I've had 3, rounds of, the dog grieving, if you like, that's popped up. And I had a Reiki session when I first came to Ubud. I'm living in Ubud now. And she identified that there was grief and I couldn't quite figure out what it was. And I was sitting and journaling one morning and they popped up into my mind. And I spent 3 hours grieving them. I was in tears, and I wrote them a little letter and I processed the emotion and I let it go. Because the next time that memory comes up, it's not going to be tinged with so much grief because I've worked through the emotion. So that also is knowing that you're able to deal with these things without having to revert to, negative behaviors. That's also a key tool. I'm not sure if this is what you were wanting. A key tool that I have in my toolbox is just like, no, I can deal with this. I've got this. Come at me. I can do this. It's having that self-confidence to know that you're okay. Yeah. You're actually okay.
Yeah. I love that. And that probably is a great place to tie a bow on it, because I think you and I can just keep going and going.
I know.
And I think that's a really strong finish around that confidence and that self-relationship and that knowing that no matter what happens, that you do get there. And I agree, it's a spiral up, that you do come back around and you think, God, I thought I dealt with that shit.
Oh my God, yes. This is what I mean about the emotional baggage at the airport. It comes with you. You don't pay excess on it. It's still there. But life in Bali is just easier, and it gives me a bit more space to deal with that sort of thing and continue to work on being who I want to be. So.
Yeah, that's it. And it is. It's that, the voice comes up. It's like, oh, well, like, hey, all right, what is it? What is it? What do I need to know? But thank you so much, Beck. I really hope, like, the purpose of this interview series is showing all the different scenarios of all these amazing women that I know, that I've met, that I know that come across as hugely confident women, and myself included, but we all still grapple at times with having to move into new scenarios, but as we go along, we're bringing the tools that we're learning along with us. And so my hope is that whether one person watches this, 100 people, whatever, that it's helpful, and that and I'm sure there are plenty of women out there that will connect to your story like I have. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, all the way from Bali. Yay! Mwah. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Okay. So we finished that amazing interview, and one thing I wanted to ask that I didn't ask was one thing that you would ask your younger self. So we'll do this as a bit of a bonus clip. Or I'll stitch it. I'll get really clever.
Someone
get really clever, and I'll edit it together.
I love it. Yeah. So in response to that, it's interesting. I did a meditation, and this is actually going to be a little bit polarized. So I think what your question is. I did a meditation. I can't remember who the teacher was or what the scenario was, but we were basically, I ended up on a beach, and I was watching my younger self build a sandcastle. Little chubby Beck with a really bad haircut. I used to call her Miss Piggy because I was a little chubber as a child. And I remember at this point in my life when I was doing this meditation that I was very heavy with self-worth. I wasn't feeling like I was worthy, common amongst all women, men too. And this little girl, this little Beck, she looked up at me and she was just like, so excited. And she bolted up and raced through her sandcastle, complete with moat. It had a moat. And she raced up and she gave me this enormous hug. And then she looked up at me and she's just like, I get to be you when I grow up. I'm so excited. I get to be you. You're who I get to grow up to be. And knowing that helps me keep my shit together sometimes when I'm feeling really disconnected or like, what am I doing? It's just like knowing that inner child in me knows that I'm worthy. She's proud of me for what I've become. She's excited. She cannot wait. This is better than Christmas for her, that I am who she gets to become when she grows up, that she is proud of me. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. At the core of us all, it's that inner child, really, I think, that we need need to listen to and to nurture. That's my response. I know it's a little bit out of the box.
Well, I wouldn't expect anything else back anyway, but complete authenticity and truth in what you say. So, and it's not there's no right or wrong to any of the questions or any of the content that we talk about. It's everybody's journey and experience, and that's why it's nice to be able to show different ideas and different things. And I love that. I think that's really beautiful. I think that's really, really beautiful. And as soon as you said it, I actually got a little like
I get goosebumps.
Yeah.
I get goosebumps when I share that experience, because it was just such a profound, because I had a pretty miserable childhood, really. Wasn't loved, surprise child, sort of was not really acknowledged or praised or any of those sorts of things. And, you know, I could tell her whatever I like, but her time has come and gone. So it's really just knowing that, no, she's happy and she's excited, and, you know,
love it.
That's all I need.
Well, there you go.
Thank
there
you.
is the bonus content. Thank you very much. That was well worth asking the question. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.